The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix has just shown us the struggling start for Mercedes as Red Bull continues their dominance and picks up the win in the second race of the 2024 season. The seven-time champion Lewis Hamilton has not even been close to the podium position, as he finished at the bottom of the top 10 in the last two races. Join us today as we talk about why Hamilton and Mercedes are struggling this season. Could this be a sign that Hamilton's championship run with Mercedes is officially over? Or will they eventually get back to their winning ways in the new F1 season? Red Bull won the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix once more thanks to Verstappen and Perez, who held the first and second positions in the competition. On the other hand, Mercedes continues their struggles, as Russell finishes in 6th place, while Hamilton is in 9th. Both of these two men are not also able to secure the fastest lap of the race, as Charles Leclerc takes it from Lewis by just a millisecond. If we look at these results, we can see that this is not the typical Mercedes performance from recent years before Red Bull dominated the league. One of the highlights of the race is the new face on the grid, and despite the struggles, the young kid and debuting Oliver Bearman reacted to Hamilton, saying that it was great watching them grow up, and now I'm racing against Lewis. That was fantastic. When Bearman got out of the Ferrari, Hamilton was also waiting in the pit lane to give him a big hug of good luck. The kid talked about how much he loved the McLaren team when Hamilton and Jenson Button were teammates in an all-British lineup. Hamilton was one of Bearman's childhood stars. In the first practice session before the race, he came in 8th fastest and was the subject of an investigation after a close call with Williams' Sargent at high speed. Sargent had to steer around him at turn 11 to avoid what the race officials called a serious high-speed crash on the street track with walls. Mercedes was fined €15,000 for not telling Hamilton about the other car, and the driver was given a warning. Plus, he said it was a difficult day. We did some work from session to session. We changed the car quite a bit, but it was the underlying issue with the rear end that I was struggling with. So, I had a couple of really big moments out there. In these high-speed areas, you need to have full faith in the rear of the car, and I've just not got that yet. Toto Wolff said at the end of last season that Mercedes had a mountain to climb to catch Red Bull in the short term. The first two weekends have been a harsh reminder of how big that job is for all of the world champions competitors. Mercedes has made a lot of changes to their car for 2024 to try to close that gap. They came in 5th and 7th at the season start in Bahrain and 6th and 9th in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. On the other hand, Lewis shows his frustration after the race by saying, "It's frustrating for sure to be in 3 years in a row in almost the same position. It's definitely tough, but we will get our heads down and keep working away. And I know everyone back at the factory is pushing as hard as they can." This year, Mercedes has changed how they approach their ground effect cars. When they showed off the W15 in February, they called it a complete relaunch, but Hamilton said they might not have gone far enough. If you're interested in learning more about why W15 was a complete relaunch, you can check out our video about it in the description below. Now going back to the topic, Lewis commented about the W15 by saying, "The car is relatively good at low speed and not so bad at medium speed, but at high speed we are miles off. It was like I was in a different category when I was going through the high speed between the other guys around me. We've definitely got to make some big changes. We haven't made big enough changes, perhaps. If you look at the 3 teams ahead of us, they still have different concepts of where we are in some areas. So, we've got some performance to add, that's for sure." Nonetheless, he had no regrets, saying, "I think it was worth trying something different. I was hunting, and I was pushing as hard as I could. I was maximizing everything I had with the car. I was right on the edge. Unfortunately, it was just really lacking performance at high speeds where they were walking all over us." George Russell also has his own comments about their car, saying, "We're still really trying to understand this car because we have shown true performance at points over the last 2 weekends. FP1, straight out of the box, we were at the top of the timesheets and always in the top 3, FP2, P2. Then, both weekends, the pace just fell away from us. That hasn't been our competitors getting faster, that's been us getting slower. So, we need to understand why that is. But it's fine margins now. It's so close to ourselves, McLaren and Aston. Charles is just a smidge ahead. We just need to tap into it a bit more." Despite the struggles, Toto Wolff remains positive in his team and shows his confidence. It's more a fundamental thing that we believe that the speed should be there and we measure the downforce, but we don't find it on the lap time. That's been 2 years since there was something we needed to spot, and that's the thing to unlock. It's not by lack of trying. We push so hard and we're going to give it a massive go now in the next week with more data to understand and come back to Melbourne stronger. We're on a mission with this one, and I'm 100% sure we're going to unlock that performance gap. Right now, Mercedes is far behind Red Bull with almost 3 times as many points as them. There is an enormous deficit that must be made up for. The team hasn't been consistent or reliable in recent years, which is the main cause of this gap. Red Bull, on the other hand, has been winning lately, and their drivers, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, keep coming in first and second place. Red Bull's Honda-powered engine has also changed the game. It has been more reliable and powerful than Mercedes' engine, giving Red Bull an edge over their competitors and putting them in a good position for the remaining races. Although Red Bull has been the most competitive team, Ferrari and McLaren have also shown big improvements in their work. Since the beginning of the season, Ferrari has had a lot of podium places. Both of their drivers, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, have won races. McLaren, on the other hand, has always been in the points. Their young driver, Oscar Piastri, is currently in 5th place in the drivers' results, just 2 points behind Russell. Also, the first 2 races have shown that Mercedes' car has some problems. The drivers say that the team's new build for the 2024 season, the W15, has not worked as well as they had hoped. On the other hand, Mercedes is having a tough 2024 season. If they want to win a title, they will need to step up their game. Then what are the things that we can expect from Mercedes in the 2024 season? You can be sure that Mercedes will do well with Hamilton behind the wheel. There is no question that the 7-time world champion will be determined to keep winning. He has shown over and over that he is great at adapting. We can say for sure that the 2024 season will have the most competition ever. We can expect the fight between Mercedes and their rivals to get closer as the new teams try to close the gap between them. Teams like Ferrari and McLaren will also be trying to make a comeback and finally beat the current champs. It looks like the 2024 Formula 1 season will be exciting for Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton since they need to show something before he leaves the team. We'll see what they can do this season with a great car, a determined driver, and the necessary resources to adapt to how the sport is changing. What are your thoughts about the Mercedes struggles and what they can do to stop them? Let us know in the comments below. If you want more Formula 1 content, be sure to subscribe and visit our channel to stay updated.